Jordan's World by Angel Steadham, published by Ambassador International. Narration by Angel Steadham. Prologue. 17-year-old Jordan Lewis was forcefully roused in the middle of the night with no warning. Sound asleep one moment, she next felt powerful arms grabbing and picking her up. Unsure whether this was real or a dream, and terrified regardless, Jordan resisted with all her strength. Using both hands, she pounded against her abductor's chest, which was covered with armor of some kind, and head which was protected by a helmet. Trying to twist out of their grip, she kicked and screamed as loudly as she could, but it did no good. Her assailant apparently could see in the dark, never turning on a light, nor having any illumination on his or her protective suit. They never said a word either, as they stole Jordan away from her home in Colorado. "What do you want? What are you going to do to me?" Jordan shrieked. "Let me go!" Silence continued to be their only response. In her panic, Jordan wondered if it was even human. "Someone, please help me!" Jordan cried. Passing through the living room, Jordan's kidnapper sidestepped the couch and exited through the open front door, walking over the cobblestone path to the driveway. Her eyes adjusting to the brighter moonlit sky, Jordan beheld her assailant's companion, a second abductor, who held her mother, Janice, struggling in its arms. She looked like she was screaming too, but Jordan heard no sound. "No one can hear us," Jordan thought, horrified. "Somehow they're blocking the sound. That's why no one has tried to help us." One of the kidnappers pressed a button on its wrist, and a circle of bright light erupted in mid-air. It was about 8 feet wide by 8 feet tall. They calmly walked through the portal with their captives. Jordan's senses were nearly overwhelmed by the jarring sense of motion within this phenomenon. She didn't know how fast they were traveling or in which direction. It seemed like every direction simultaneously. It made her feel sick and extremely anxious at the same time. Would it ever stop? Were they going to die? Seconds or maybe minutes later, the abductors emerged on the other side of the anomaly, still holding Jordan and her mother just as tightly as before. They seemed unfazed by the experience, unlike Jordan, who felt shaken and dazed. Almost immediately, her assailant gently set her on the frigid, snow-covered ground, while its companion did the same for her mother. Jordan remained emotionally spent and fought to orient herself. "Where have you taken us? What do you want?" Jordan shouted, with as much strength as she could muster. Her kidnapper pointed at a light in the distance. Was that a fire? Jordan watched her foe launch some kind of flare from its wrist, using another technology she was unfamiliar with. Then both assailants walked back into the pulsating portal of light before it closed behind them. Jordan crawled on her elbows and knees to reach her mother, who had fainted. The last thing Jordan perceived before passing out was silhouetted shapes approaching them and shouts of alarm in a language she had never heard.